Antarctica, the land of mysteries buried under layers of centuries-old permafrost. Over the past 50 years, people have frequently reported strange pyramid-shaped structures, mysterious entrances leading deep inside the permafrost, and strange flying objects in Antarctica. Past unusual events recorded have raised countless difficult questions about the coldest land on Earth. Some people came to Antarctica and saw things they shouldn't have seen. Something is clearly being hidden down there that we don't know yet. Could it be the ruins of an ancient, brilliant civilization, a secret alien base, or the site of unimaginable research activities between humans and extraterrestrials? All will be answered in the next 30 minutes of the video, Horrific Mystery Under Antarctic Ice. Special thanks to Helios, the handmade men's jewelry brand, for partnering with CD Team. Subscribe to the channel and support Helios products. Helios brings unique pieces designed and crafted by Vietnamese artisans with the desire to bring Vietnamese products to the world. November 1995. A U.S. Navy pilot named Brian and his crew were flying a C-130 around Marie Byrd Land at an extremely low altitude. This area is located in southern Antarctica, where 15 scientists were working. The C-130 approached the Antarctic base from another base named McMurdo, a few hundred kilometers to the east. They had to perform this mission due to the mysterious disappearance of the scientists working there. The scientists' mission was to contact Meredith Station daily and report their research results. However, over the past few days, no signals were sent back. All participants came from national scientific organizations, and their disappearance would create unpredictable consequences. In fact, the area they studied has extremely harsh weather, with no dangerous predators around. So, leaving the base due to an attack is almost impossible. Even when going out for research missions, they couldn't survive for more than an hour without protective gear. The plane flew in smaller and smaller circles to ensure it didn't miss any area when searching for the scientists. Though the weather was great and visibility optimal, no signs were found. Finally, the C-130 landed, and the rescue team was ordered to check the base. Normally, when a large, noisy object like a transport plane lands at the base, at least a few people would run out to watch. Yet, this place now seemed abandoned. The scientists had only been brought here about a week ago. In the warehouse, they had enough food, water, and even snacks for over a month. Yet now they vanished without a trace. Supplies and property showed no signs of robbery or vandalism. The rescue team went to the control room to check the communication equipment. Everything was normal and stable. They even used that exact equipment to report back to McMurdo. No one was found, nor any bodies. Everything was normal, and no signs of conflict could be determined. Please let us know what the team should do next. Clearly, you have no clues to know what to do next. The rescue team turned back to the plane to return to McMurdo base. Before leaving for good, the planes still fly in widening circles to make sure nothing is missed. Antarctica is a dangerous place where people go missing every year and die there. No one is safe in this harsh environment. While everyone discusses finding the missing scientists, they suddenly reappear. Over a week later, the rescue team and the C-130 get urgent orders to return to Maryland base. Those who just returned send distress signals, screaming to get out. What happened there? In today's world, Antarctica is the most isolated place on Earth. Human research activities have only touched a fraction of it. Up to 98% remains unexplored. No one knows what lies buried under ice, miles thick. Yet despite harsh conditions and limited access, new discoveries show clear signs of alien high-tech activity and undiscovered ancient civilizations. Recent satellite images show pyramid-like structures piercing through the ice. People believe these pyramids are part of a power grid for the world, like Giza. Over 90 million years ago, Antarctica was a lush, green land. This is indisputable. But scientists also confirmed it was frozen and unfit for life 12 million years ago. So who built those pyramids? First, look at this Pinkerton map. Drawn in 1818, the area for Antarctica is currently blank with no notes or markings. This means it was totally unknown back then, or didn't even exist to people. Yet older maps accurately show the precise location of Antarctica, proving it wasn't always a massive icy continent. Instead, these maps depict it as a lush land, rich with flora rivaling any place on Earth. Is this actually true? This strange map from the 16th century accurately drew its northern coast when it wasn't ice-covered. It's hard to explain how they knew this continent well without modern measuring tools. Like today, like other ancient mysteries, some believe an ancient civilization existed there long ago. This prehistoric civilization caught the interest of historians after World War II. This theory is supported by medieval maps and studies by experts in geology and physics. In 1929, an old gazelle skin map was found, showing very different geography from what we know. The author detailed Africa's north coast, South America's south, and Antarctica's northern shore. It is called the Piri-Reis map. It is one of the most fascinating and mysterious artifacts in cartography. This world map was drawn on gazelle skin by Turkish admiral and cartographer Piri-Reis in 1513. It astounds people with its accuracy and detail, especially for areas mostly unexplored or unknown at the time. Therefore, this map has also sparked controversy for nearly a century now. As mentioned, the map shows Antarctica before its official discovery. So many speculate that this map might reveal ancient secrets of lost civilizations on our planet. Piri-Reis was a brilliant naval officer and skilled cartographer of the Ottoman Empire. He was born around 1465 or 1470 in Gallipoli, a port city on the Dardanelles. He began his life at sea when he was young, first as a state-backed privateer, essentially a licensed pirate, and later joined the Ottoman Navy, where he rose to become an admiral. Piri-Reis joined many campaigns and naval battles, such as the conquest of Egypt in 1517, and the siege of Rhodes in 1522. Reis was also deeply interested in geography and maps. He collected charts from various sources, including Europe, Arabia, China, and India. He also questioned sailors, merchants, and travelers who had visited many parts of the world, using that data to compile his own maps and books on navigation and geography. In 1513, he finished his most famous work, a world map, which he presented to Sultan Selim the First, the ninth ruler of the Ottoman Empire, as a gift. This map was based on about 20 different sources, some ancient and some contemporary. He claimed he used a partial copy of Christopher Columbus's map, which is now lost, as well as maps by Portuguese, Spanish, Arabic, and Indian cartographers. The map seems to depict South America accurately and in detail, while also including notes in Ottoman Turkish and Arabic. This map was praised by Sultan Selim I and kept in the royal treasury for many years. However, it was eventually forgotten until its rediscovery in 1929 in the Topkapi Palace Library in Istanbul. The map was then studied by many scholars and experts, who were highly surprised by its quality and accuracy. The mystery is not just how Admiral Pierre Rees could accurately map the Antarctic region 300 years before its discovery, but the core question centers on why the map shows Antarctica before it was covered by ice. In 1949, an expedition of British and Swedish scientists conducted surveys of the continent's south pole through an ice layer 1.6 kilometers thick. The results confirmed that Pierre Rees's map of Queen Maud Land boasted absolute accuracy compared to seismic measurements. This proved that this coastline was mapped before being covered by ice. Coincidentally, the Pierre Rees map was also drawn using a grid system of longitude and latitude. But historically, the first world map using this method was drawn by John Harrison, a Briton, in 1761. Thus, had people known the Earth was spherical over 600 years ago, mainstream science always holds that the ice covering Antarctica is 1 million years old, with the entire northern part of this continent depicted like that. Before the ice cover, one could infer that the map was drawn 1 million years ago. But this is hard to explain because at that time, humans did not yet exist. So, was the Pierre Rees map together from the work of a civilization that we have never known? In the Atlas of Ancient Oceans published in 1979, Joseph Charles Hartgood stated that the Pierre Rees map sourced data from the maps of the Miwoks and Phoenicians, peoples with many great navigators. The maps they drew were kept in the Library of Alexandria and Constantinople. During the Fourth Crusade, in 1204, those maps were brought to Europe. According to Hartgood, they included maps of the Americas, Antarctica, and the Southern Ocean. It is amazing how ancients could map Antarctica before it was even frozen, and how they could measure so accurately on a map. From the story of the Pierre Rees map, a hypothesis arose that there were lost civilizations with a fairly advanced level of technology. In 1953, a Navy officer sent this map to the U.S. Army Map Service to measure and compare it with modern maps. They concluded this map had absolute accuracy and could only be made using satellite positioning methods. Hence, the possibility that a civilization existed tens of thousands of years ago, living and developing to a fairly high level before Antarctica was covered by ice sheets kilometers thick. And our current question will be even more complex: where did they go? To me personally, it is not complex at all. They might have always been there, deep under the cold Antarctic ice. And in fact, there is still key evidence showing an ancient civilization once existed, or even still exists, in Antarctica. Yes, Pierre Rees is not the only strange map of Antarctica in history that we know of. In 1737, Philippe Boitsch published the map bearing his name. Boitsch, an 18th century French geographer, drew a map showing Antarctica very clearly and in detail, but along with it was some controversial information. First, Philippe Boitsch's Antarctica was two separate landmasses, surrounded by many highly detailed coastlines. Yet, those maps were considered wrong because modern Antarctica, explored by modern scientists, does not actually look like what Philippe Boitsch drew. Even the original name of the Boitsch map is very interesting, as Philippe Boitsch thought it necessary to clearly locate this area on the world map. Not just simply Antarctica. Some documents translate the original name of the Boitsch map from French into English, with the meaning, map, of the physical geography of the southern lands, situated between the tropic and the Antarctic pole, where the great discoveries of 1739 will open a new era for the world. The lack of clarity about the publication year also made many doubt the Boitsch map. While most believe that Philippe Boitsch completed the map and released it to the public in 1737, the map record the publication date as September 3rd, 1739, matching the title that Boitsch gave to his own map. So far, no one has explained what the 2-year gap means for the Boitsch map. Known as a pioneer in professional mapping in the early 18th century, Philippe Boitsch created a map, clearly dividing the structure of each region, while opening a new direction for geological study. He combined knowledge, geological research, in depth with data from explorers and missionaries back then, with daily astronomy, to deduce regions worldwide. Maps were then created, some matching modern research results, like Alaska or Bering. Yet his approach caused fierce academic debates for being too time-consuming. By diving into details requiring complex surveys, labor-intensive and ineffective, with scarce data, moreover. Not all deductions of Philippe Boitsch were correct. A prime example is his view of the Antarctic Sea located right at the South Pole, but it doesn't actually exist. Somehow Boitsch accurately mapped Antarctica's terrain from an ancient time, when scientists believe it was completely ice-free. Even more interesting is that Boitsch's map depicts a waterway frozen in the Transantarctic Mountains, splitting the continent into West and East Antarctica as separate lands. In Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, published in 1966, Hapgood, whom we mentioned, argued that Boitsch collected mysterious data on an advanced ancient civilization in Antarctica, even linked to aliens with terrain scanning power to draw giant maps. Besides, some scientists believe his map was inspired by ancient maps, yet his exact location of Canary Islands and its underwater plateau remains baffling to researchers. This indicates plateau data must exist before the ice melted and sea levels rose for Boitsch to sketch it so successfully. While Boitsch 1.0 remains a mystery, experts found a 2.0 version with French writing on it, sparking speculation. Some claim these documents show Boitsch just mapped his own Antarctic theories, likely referencing old maps and data gathered from explorers on giant southern drifting ice, believing a continent lay there. I still hold the view that this continent wasn't always frozen like it is today. It once hosted a civilization, perhaps advanced beyond ours. In fact, no one knows the subglacial structure in prehistoric times, making it hard to confirm if Boitsch's map is real. Even the Piri Reis map isn't fully accurate. But today we don't just seek to uncover ancient Antarctic secrets. Returning to our opening story, Brian's C-130 rescue crew was deployed to McMurdo to pick up returning scientists. Arriving, they saw them packed and rushing to the plane, as if staying behind even a moment longer meant death or torture. The scientists boarded in absolute silence. No one spoke a single word. Even when the crew asked what happened, no one spoke. For the next 2 hours, the silence was suffocating. When the C-130 landed at McMurdo, the scientists were told that they would board another plane. But for some reason, they looked like they didn't want to move. Someone had to go onto the plane, unbuckle their seatbelts, and take each person, one by one, out of there. These people surely had witnessed something and were suffering from severe PTSD. By our current definition, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a set of reactions that can appear in people who experienced or witnessed a traumatic event, threatening their lives or safety. It could be a car accident or other serious accidents, assault, or sexual assault, crime, war-related events, or a disaster, natural like wildfires or floods. Most people who experience trauma will have post-trauma reactions. However, some people, these reactions don't ease in a few days or weeks but continue and disrupt their lives. So our scientists walked over to the second plane, looking like zombies, and vanished from there. Their research gear was placed in a large hangar and locked up extremely securely. The rescue team was ordered not to enter there under any circumstances. All other equipment returning from Antarctica was also quickly isolated and sealed until shipped elsewhere. At that time, no one knew that the equipment would be moved to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. And if you don't know, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was the storehouse for many classified files related to unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and evidence of UFO sightings. Since 1947 to 1969, Brian's rescue team was called into the command office. 2 men in civilian clothes had just arrived from Washington, D.C. They warned the entire crew not to disclose this incident to anyone else, including relatives. No scientists went missing, no rescue mission happened. None of what they just went through was real. The crew members were totally fine with this. This wasn't the first time they were forced to keep silent. In that very room, about 10 years ago, the same thing also happened to Brian. But that meeting was not about gear and people on the ground, but a meeting about what the crew members saw deep inside the earth. In 2003, a Navy SEAL team was deployed from McMurdo Base to the Beardmore Glacier area. According to the official report, they were on a routine reconnaissance mission as scheduled before. But in reality, it was an escort for scientists to gather more research information and bring them back to base safely. The SEAL team commander, codenamed Spartan 1, told all members very clearly that this research was extremely important. At all costs, even sacrificing their lives, the whole team must protect the scientists at all times. The escort team fully agreed. However, this was a bit too much. They saw that these scientists were just one of dozens of other scientists who were gathering information in Antarctica. That was true in fact, but not enough. Approaching the landing zone, they saw the top of a black octagonal structure protruding from the thick snow. The whole team brought the scientists to a huge door, tens of meters high, with strange shapes carved above it. Some people thought it looked like a map. Stars and beyond. On the door, there was a triangle with 2 diagonals crossing the center. This symbol appeared in many ancient cultures throughout history. Journalist Linda Moulton Howe, who interviewed Spartan and other witnesses, showed him a photo of a coin found in Mexico City in 1993. It had similar symbols on it. The door, meters high and thick, opened with extreme ease as the team stepped in. After it closed, all fell into complete silence. The eerie silence and the massive space of the room made everything feel terrifying. Spartan and his team had to spend quite a long time to walk through the hallway. The surrounding walls emitted a soft but eerie blue light. The walls also contained a series of special characters like Egyptian hieroglyphs. When the scientists in the team asked the guide How large this place was, the answer was 2.7 million square meters. It was nearly equal to our country's area. That entire space was huge, buried deep under permafrost. And this was just one of many structures like that across Antarctica. At that time, the giant door was the only way to enter the structure. But years later, other entrances were found, and the only way to reach them was using massive submarines. By going under the ice, the sub could advance kilometers into Antarctica. Unlike the upper levels that Spartan's team had just accessed, those lower levels were not under human control. They were also told to stay silent about that top-secret base. And now, some people sat there again to listen to threats about the consequences of spreading unverified news, including Brian. The mission to rescue 15 scientists was not the first strange mission Brian joined. Since 1980, he and his crew made countless trips from Antarctica, usually to resupply the research station and transport cargo and personnel. Until one day, a special mission changed everything. Brian received news that his crew was preparing for an urgent evacuation of an injured scientist at Davis Station, opposite McMurdo. After McMurdo medical staff were mobilized, they were ordered to head out across the mountains through Antarctica. This approach was truly too unusual. Brian and his crew flew straight past a top-secret air sampling station, set up with a no-fly zone above it. The aircraft violated that, and everyone's lives were in grave danger. However, what Brian remembered most was probably not the danger of that flight, but what he saw while flying. There was a hole over 90 meters wide exposed in the ice, right next to that top-secret air sampling station. Clearly, there had been a lot of activity going on here over the years. Brian and his crew could not explain why there was such a large ice hole in the middle of this place. After returning the patient safely to McMurdo, the crew was summoned to the commander's office, as was customary. In the room was an officer they had never seen before. The officer asked about the decision to violate the no-fly zone that Brian and his crew had just made. Of course, the crew explained that they had no better choice. If they took another route, the patient would die. The officer began pacing slowly to think. Finally, they decided not to pursue charges on the condition that Brian's team must accept total surveillance to avoid revealing secrets. Though he never signed an NDA, he was still uneasy with it. He had flown hundreds of Antarctic missions, seeing UFOs and strange things so often that it felt completely normal. Brian agreed with the officer and thought no more about the huge ice crater until months later. Brian Tinker heard some people talking about the secret air station and giant ice lake during a mission. They talked about their trips there to meet some special guests. So curious, he approached and asked them about the guests. From their description, those people not only told Brian that the guests here were not human, but also revealed the 100-meter wide hole was the entry to a secret base. There, humans and aliens were cooperating on a special project. More precisely, we learn everything from them. Sometimes, human scientists even had to use themselves as test subjects for research purposes. So, did the scientists rescued from Meredith also use themselves for research as well? If that is true, it's easy to imagine the horrible things they endured. Maybe that's why, given a chance, they screamed and longed for home so much. There are many strange stories about Antarctica that we cannot tell them all in this one short video. If you want to learn more about one of today's stories, or any other story, please let me know in the comments below this video. I know stories of Antarctica are often vague and lack verification more than needed. However, as long as Earth exists, humans will keep exploring. Learning new things is never a waste for anyone. Thank you very much for joining and supporting us in today's video. On behalf of the Vong Quang team, goodbye and see you in the next videos. Wish everyone a great day with family.